Hi, welcome back to my analog series. During all the decades of film photography, many beautiful film stocks were produced and manufactured, and far too many were discontinued over the years, especially in the early 2000s with the rise of digital photography. And one of these film stocks is quite special to me because it's one of my favorite film stocks I've ever shot. And I'm talking about the Fujifilm motion picture lineup, and especially the Fuji Eterna 500T. Right now, the future of Fujifilm is quite uncertain. So we had a lot of bad news over the last years. For example, they closed all the factories for some months and reopened them, luckily, but only to sell the products from these factories in the Asian market and outsource the European and American market to an American manufacturer. And some people believe it's Kodak, that is just repackaging their own film stocks. Nobody really knows. This video is not gonna be about that. I just want to talk about the motion picture lineup of Fuji, which sadly was discontinued in 2013. And especially, of course, about Fujifilm Eterna, which is one of my favorite film stocks I've ever shot. So over the years, Fuji produced many different motion picture film stocks. The most well-known are Fuji Eterna 500T as well as 250D, Fuji Reala 500D, and the Fuji F series. The F series looks kind of similar to the Fuji Superior photography film, and yes, just a beautiful film stock. One director that used a lot of Fuji F stock over the years is Paul Thomas Anderson. For example, Punch Drunk Love was shot on the Fuji F motion picture stock, and Darren Aronofsky shot Black Swan on Fujifilm as well. And one of the first movies that I watched where I really wanted to know which motion picture stock was used was the home invasion thriller The Strangers, and it was shot on this one, Fuji Eterna 500T and 250D. The roll that I shot expired over 10 years ago, so I shot it at ISO 100, and I knew I would get this blue color cast because it's a tungsten balance film and I didn't want to shoot it with a filter, and I wanted to shoot it in the sun. But the first time that I shot this film was last year in January, when we had a little bit of snow in the neighborhood. I walked around and took some pictures, and this blue color cast on these snowy landscapes just felt really special and extremely fitting for me, so I decided I want to do it again. I took the Nikon FA and loaded it up with the Fuji Eterna, and I also had a roll of Kodak Vision 2 500T lying around in my Nikon F3 that I started shooting several days ago, and I decided to just take it with me on the trip as well because I was kind of curious how these two films would compare to each other, because they were discontinued around the same time, and yeah, I just wanted to try it out, how they would compare to each other, if they had some similar properties, or if the Vision 2 would look a lot more like the Vision 3 that we know from today, or if it had some similarities to the Eterna. That's just something I wanted to try. Of course, I will put a little text in the corner of the picture so you can see if it was Fuji Eterna or Kodak Vision 2. And with that, and no further ado, enjoy the pictures. A colleague of mine recommended this location to me because one of the problems around this area is that many of these hills or mountainsides have ski areas. So in the winter there are many tourists, and yeah, I didn't really want to bother with that, so I just wanted to go in the nature, enjoy the silence and the peace of it, and take some film photos. And that's what I did. I parked the car behind the church and had to find a way over those train tracks, but I wasn't really successful with that, so I just walked over them. Luckily, there weren't any trains around, so it was more or less safe. But while walking over it, I found my first compositions that I quite enjoy. The problem with the Kodak Vision 2 is that many of the pictures didn't turn out as I expect them to. Well, the first one that you're seeing right now, I do like quite a bit. And I like the color cast of it, but many other frames that I didn't include had a weird color cast shifty thing going on with them. And I kind of was disappointed with those. But yeah, that's just how it goes, I guess. After walking around the river for quite a while and taking some pictures, I found a path that led up the mountainside and I just decided to give it a go and follow it. After a couple of 100 meters, the forest around the path opened up and I had this really beautiful view of the villages and the different mountainsides. And I do like the pictures that came out of this. They have a kind of vibe to them that I really enjoy. After I got back into the forest, I decided I could put my 60mm fisheye lens to good use. I shot several pictures over the day with it, but sadly many of those didn't really turn out the way I hoped they would. But this one I quite enjoy because the trees have a kind of menacing feeling to them through this fisheye wide-angle lens. After taking this picture of the foliage on the forest ground peeking out of the snow, I realized I lost my lens cap. Again, I already lost it while I was enjoying the view of the mountainside and the villages, and yeah, I had to walk quite a few meters back. Luckily it was just in the middle of the path on top of the snow, quite easy to spot, but yeah. While walking back, I found this part of the tree that was covered in snow and I thought it would make up for an interesting composition to shoot out of the branches. And so I shook off some of the snow so I wouldn't get snow all over me and over the cameras, and slipped in. Didn't really enjoy the picture, that's why I didn't include it here. I think I chose the wrong lens for that framing, but that's part of the magic and the experience of shooting film. You take the picture, you hope for the best, and sometimes you're lucky and sometimes you're not. After I finished my little tea break, I stumbled across the train tracks from the beginning, which was quite helpful because, to be honest, I kinda got lost a little bit, and it was a great guidance to find my way back to the car without the need of taking out my smartphone and locating myself and stuff like that. I decided to take a picture of the tracks and this, I don't really know what it is, this marker for the train. First picture I took on the 58mm and the second on the 28. I followed the train tracks and I was right with my guess. They led back to the riverside where I started, and I went down into the riverbed and took a picture with the 60mm again, which isn't one of my favorites as well, but I wanted to include it because it was one of the last pictures of the day that I took, and it was fun shooting it, even though I'm not that happy with the picture. But even though I think it has something special to it because of the fisheye character of the lens. The next pictures I want to show you are mostly shot on Kodak Vision 2. Only one of them is shot on Fuji, which was the last photo of the day. The other frames I shot several days before I went on this photo walk on my Nikon F3. I just wanted to include them so you have a better comparison between the Fuji Eterna 500T and the Kodak Vision 2 500T. And yeah, I do enjoy the pictures that came out from this day quite a lot. It was quite overcast that day, and I think the Kodak Vision 2 handles overcast a lot better than Fuji Eterna, but the Fuji Eterna handles the bright sunlight better than the Kodak Vision 2, at least from my experience shooting these films. Thank you very much for watching this video of my little photo walk shooting Fuji Eterna and Kodak Vision 2. I hope you had fun, and if you did, consider liking and subscribing. And until next time, take care and more pictures.